The story of the adulterous woman, recorded in John 8 verses 1 to 11, is one of the most moving and challenging accounts in the Gospels. It reveals the compassionate heart of Jesus, who not only forgives but also confronts human hypocrisy. In a moment when all seemed lost for this woman, Jesus turned a situation of condemnation into an eternal lesson of grace and redemption. Do you want to hear more stories about the characters who were part of Jesus' life and the biblical universe as a whole? Give this video a like and subscribe to the channel, because every day we reveal a new character with an inspiring story. The narrative begins on the Mount of Olives, where Jesus spent time in prayer. He then returns to the temple at dawn, ready to teach the crowd that gathered around him. As usual, Jesus attracted attention not just because of what he said, but because of the authority with which he spoke. He was a leader who taught with truth but also with grace. However, the calm of that morning was abruptly interrupted. Suddenly, the scribes and Pharisees dragged a woman to where Jesus was. She had been caught in the act of adultery, a crime that, according to the law of Moses, was punishable by stoning. They placed her in the middle of everyone, exposing her shame and waiting for Jesus to give his verdict. This woman was utterly vulnerable. Imagine the terror of being publicly exposed, with all eyes on her in judgment. The accusation was clear, and the evidence seemed irrefutable. But why did the Pharisees bring this matter to Jesus? The religious leaders had a plan. They were not merely interested in enforcing the law, they wanted to put Jesus in an impossible situation. If he said the woman should be stoned, he would violate Roman law, which prohibited executions without authorization. On the other hand, if he said she should not be stoned, he would be accused of disobeying the law of Moses. It was a trap, carefully crafted to discredit Jesus before the people. But Jesus, in his divine wisdom, responded in a way no one expected. He stooped down and began writing on the ground with his finger. This intriguing gesture puzzled the accusers. What was Jesus writing? The Bible does not tell us, and this has sparked debates over the centuries. Some suggest he was writing the sins of the accusers. Others believe he was simply showing that he would not be pressured by their trap. Meanwhile, the Pharisees continued to demand an answer. Then Jesus stood up and spoke one of the most famous phrases in the Bible. "Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her." With these words, Jesus completely turned the situation around. He did not ignore the law but applied it in a way that exposed the hypocrisy of those men. The crowd fell silent. One by one, the accusers began to leave, starting with the oldest, until no one was left. They could not deny their own faults. The weight of Jesus' words was not just an accusation, it was an invitation to self-reflection. When everyone had left, only Jesus and the woman remained. He stood up and asked her, "Woman, where are your accusers? Has no one condemned you?" She replied, "No one, Lord." Then Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." These words are the climax of the story. Jesus did not downplay the woman's sin, but he also did not condemn her. He offered forgiveness and a new chance at life. This attitude reflects the central purpose of his ministry, to bring redemption and restore broken lives. The cultural context of this story is crucial to understanding it fully. In the ancient world, women were often treated as second-class citizens, especially in legal and moral matters. While adultery was a serious sin, the law of Moses also required both parties involved to be punished. Curiously, the man with whom the woman was involved was not brought by the Pharisees. This not only reveals their hypocrisy but also their use of the woman as a mere tool in their attempt to trap Jesus. Furthermore, Jesus' act of writing on the ground can be seen as a reference to God's power to inscribe truth in unexpected places. Just as God wrote the Ten Commandments on stone tablets, Jesus was writing something in the dust, perhaps reminding those men that he knew their hearts and sins. This story also raises important questions about human judgment. The Pharisees were more focused on pointing out the sin of others than examining their own hearts. This is a trap we can all fall into. It's easy to judge others while forgetting that we are all sinners in need of God's grace. The story of the adulterous woman offers us several profound spiritual lessons. First, it reminds us that Jesus came not to condemn but to save. He does not approve of sin, but he offers forgiveness and transformation. His words to the woman, "Go and sin no more," are an invitation to freedom, not condemnation. Additionally, Jesus' response teaches us about the importance of empathy and compassion. While the Pharisees saw the woman only as an example of transgression, Jesus saw a person with worth and dignity. This perspective challenges us to treat others with mercy even when faced with their flaws. Finally, the story reminds us that we all need grace. The Pharisees walked away because they realized they were no better than the woman they were accusing. Likewise, we are called to drop our stones, our judgments, prejudices, and condemnations, and recognize our own need for forgiveness. This narrative continues to resonate today. We live in an age where the failures of others are often exposed and condemned publicly, whether on social media or in our communities. The story of the adulterous woman challenges us to find the balance between justice and grace, between confronting sin and loving the sinner. If you liked this video and want to know more about the characters that surrounded the life of Christ and formed the rich biblical story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and send this video to your friends. Turn on notifications to know when new videos come out.